Good afternoon. My name is Miss Angela Nash. I'm here in the studio room of our lovely home in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and today I'm going to teach you some ways to mix up your practicing. Yeah! So one of the first things you're going to want to do is to test drive and make sure that you're warmed up and ready to go for your practice session. Now I'm an oboist and that means I have a reed, so I'm going to do some reed testing to start out, as well as just play a few warm-ups and scales and things like that. You should do the same for your instrument. If you're a brass player, might try some buzzing, might try some breathing exercises, lots of things like that, okay? Let's try this one first. Maybe this one. Now that you're nice and warmed up, you want to double check and make sure that you have everything you're going to need ready for this awesome practice session you're about to have today. Okay? So obviously, I'm going to show you guys what I've got on my stand. I've got my music ready to go. This is a tuner and metronome combo. It's like my best friend and also my worst enemy. You can also, if you have technology access, you can download an app on iOS devices, and I think it's on Android too, called Tonal Energy Tuner. And it's got metronomes on there, it's got drones. In fact, it's actually going to do more than that thing does. I'm just kind of old school, and I like to have something other than my phone. I'm also a child, and I get distracted really easily by text messages, so I have to put it away and hide it from myself. I also have my pencil, best friend ever. And I'm going to show you down here, my little music stand. I got me a little shelf going on for oboe player things. Like, here's my little water cup. I've got some extra reeds here for when I get mad at my other ones. And then there's one last thing for this special practice session today you're going to need. And this is called penny practicing. I've got 3 pennies right here that I'm going to be using in my practice session today. Now, you can find 3 pennies too, or it can be any random 3 objects that you have around in your house somewhere. But you're definitely going to need that metronome. You're definitely going to need some type of pennies or small objects, and it can be anything. It can be fruit from your refrigerator. It can be erasers. It can be flip-flops that you throw on the floor. You just need 3 random things. The next thing you're going to want to do is actually kind of just take like 5 seconds at the most and make up a plan for what you got to practice today. It could be that one spot that before we went on all of these NTI days, you were struggling with in band class. It could maybe be something as simple as you just feel like you want to work on it. It could also just be something for fun because, hey, that's the whole reason you joined band, right? Was to have fun playing your instrument. So find something. Have fun with it. Today I'm going to be working on a little bitty, it's like a scale exercise etude, and as you can see, there's several lines of music here, and today my main goal, I'm just going to try and get these top 2 lines done. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take my pencil, I'm going to draw myself a little brackety bracket around it. I'll show you guys what that looks like, what I just did, to basically just remind myself, hey homie, this is all you've got to do today. Don't get overwhelmed with everything in life, just focus on this part. Alright, now that your brackety brackets are done, you're ready to actually start practicing. Now, I think this is the part where a lot of times we just want to jump in face first and be like, let's go full tempo. You don't need to do that, though. The first thing you want to do is play this and just figure out where you're at, tempo-wise. So I'm just going to ballpark what my metronome is, and I'm going to go around, let's say, 80 beats per minute. So setting my metronome to 80, I'm just going to leave off the high click. All right. And I'm going to try and play through this, and you're going to hear all my errors. So here we go. I'll only do like 4 measures to start with. Okay. So at this point, you're kind of asking yourself questions like, how did I do there? What are some things I could make better? And the feedback for myself is, well, there was a note that kind of sounded weird halfway through and a note that kind of sounded weird at the end, and I didn't really do much dynamic contrast. So because what I just played was not up to my current standard, then I'm going to go ahead and try it again at that exact same tempo. I'm not moving the metronome pulse at all. Now, say for example, you went to start out playing this, and it sounded something like this. And you might not be too happy about how you just sounded, then you're going to want to take your metronome and maybe back it down just a little bit more. And you're going to want to find that happy medium spot of, okay, I can play with the metronome and feel comfortable. There's still some things I need to work on, but I'm comfortable with it. And you're going to want to find wherever that is for you. Okay. I also want you guys to notice that even though I bracketed off about 8 measures, I've only chosen to practice 4. Anytime you're practicing, you want to start out in little pieces if it's something that you feel overwhelmed with, and then work your way up to the top. If you're not feeling overwhelmed with it, and maybe within those 8 measures there's only 2 giving you grief, well, just work on those 2, or work on the stuff around those 2, and those 2 in the center. So now that I've got this at 84 beats per minute, and I'm happy with how I did, I'm going to take one of these little pennies right here, in this little stack of 3 I got on my stand, and I'm going to move one penny to this side in front of my metronome. Look at Abe Lincoln. He's smiling at you going, is that Abe Lincoln? Yeah, it's Abe Lincoln. He's smiling at you going, oh, look, you did such a good job playing that at 84 beats per minute. You're going to set him right here, and then you're not going to move the metronome. You're going to do it again until you get all of those pennies over here, right here by Abraham Lincoln. You're going to get them all to the side. Now, say that I go to play it again, and it's not how I like it, then I got to move Abraham Lincoln over here. He's got to go back to this side, and I got to start all over. It's a challenge, y'all. But it makes it a little bit more fun. So, I've got all my pennies on this side by my metronome, and now that that's happy and all my pennies are there, I'm going to bump my metronome up 1 click. Now, I'll go ahead and tell you guys, when I move my metronome up 1 click, like I press the button 1 time, it's going to actually jump up several numbers. Like, it just jumped up from 186 to 176. Sometimes, if you're using, like, the Tonal Energy app or something like that, it'll only move, like, literally 1 number at a time. So, I would suggest bumping up, like, in intervals of around 5 or 6, somewhere in there. And then, obviously, you'll click it that many times. Once you have bumped up your metronome, you're going to put your pennies back to the left side, and you're going to repeat that process. All right. I felt iffy about that one. Put it back. Here we go again. Something else you're going to want to do at some point before you start doing any major amounts of practicing is figure out what tempo it is that you're supposed to go. So let's just take a moment and look. So at the beginning of your music, there should always be some type of musical word. Mine, although it's blurry as all get out, says vivace. Now, say for example that I didn't know what that meant. All I would do is, firstly, if you're using one of these old school metronomes, on the back of these little dudes, there's a chart. And a lot of times the words that you guys have will be on here, and it'll tell you the range of beats per minute that you need to set your metronome to. If your word isn't on there, like vivace isn't on there, then I'm not going to lie, you might just Google it. Vivace, beats per minute. You can also email your band director or somebody else that might know. Nonetheless, vivace is significantly faster than what I've been going, so I've kind of got a lot of work to do on these 4 measures. I'm now up to 168. Let's see how we go. Drug. I don't get to move a penny. It wasn't up to my standard. I'm almost there. Now, if you're having a moment like I am right now, and you're not for sure if that was good or not, you can also, if you have technology, actually record yourself practicing the whole time and just go back and rewind it. Sometimes I feel like my brain is working so hard on what these are doing and what this is doing and like what's happening on the page that I forget to actually listen to myself. Don't get me wrong, that's super important and absolutely you need to work on doing that. However, if you have a technology device, you can kind of sit that somewhere next to you. And if you have a moment like that where you're like, I actually don't know how I did because I was thinking really hard about what I was trying to do, then you can go back and you can listen and see how you did. So, anyways, just a piece of advice there. Here's the last time. All right. I'm going to call that done. Now, because of the penny game, these 4 measures are good to go. I've practiced it correctly so many times that it's hard for me to get it wrong, and I have built in some muscle memory into my fingers on my instrument, which is fantastic. Now, say that you get close to your goal, but you don't quite reach it, and then like it's the same thing over and over. Like maybe you're articulating too heavily, or you're putting more volume in than you need to, and it's distorting your sound. There could be lots of things going on. What I would suggest for you at that point is actually to bump the tempo back down and to just kind of ask yourself what feels hard at this point while I'm playing. Am I articulating too heavy? Does my tongue feel like it's wore out? Is my embouchure tired because I didn't practice all last week and now I've decided to? Whatever the problem is for you, back the pulse back down just a little bit, figure out what that is, and then you can work on some other things to get better. Like say you didn't practice at all last week, might want to play some long tones for a while and come back to this thing tomorrow. Alright? Nonetheless, once you reach your goal, have a little celebration. Give yourself a woohoo! Alright? From every band director out there, I want you guys to know that we're incredibly proud of you for continuing your musical practice. We want you guys to still have fun playing your instruments. We miss you, and we hope that this sends you out well. Have a great rest of your NTI days. I know spring break is on the horizon, and see you later.